Welcome, everybody. We are ready to convene our regular meeting, City Council, for August 7th, 2024. Everybody present tonight except for Brian Reyes, who is on vacation with his family, so obviously an excused absence. If you'll please rise and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Please take your seats. For most of us, Chief, sure, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. We get another good evening tonight. I'm going to call up our two newest officers, Officer Martinez and Officer Rivera. If y'all would please step forward, along with whoever you wish to present the badge to you.
We'll get the cast of thousands up there afterwards, Chief?
Yes,
Okay.
we'll do that afterwards. Okay, gentlemen. If you will raise your right hand, repeat after me, please. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of police officer for the state of Texas and the city of Garden Ridge, and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States and the state of Texas and of this city, so help me God. Thank you, gentlemen. Mayor's coming forward.
First, make introductions for everybody.
Oh, well, let's get everybody up here then. So this is Joshua Martinez. He is our newest. We have like new. So he's our newest. And we have Officer Carlos Rivera. And if y'all would, please bring your families and significant others and anybody you would like up here that we can introduce. We have a bunch. Yeah, we'll do it in front of the podium up here so we can do a photograph. But now y'all have to introduce all the children, because I don't have all the children's names memorized. I'm being honest.
So we could do, the oldest is Jocelyn, and then Janelle, Josiah, and I'm sorry, she got shots. Jocelyn, Jace, Kinsley, and Carlos.
Okay, excellent. And then on this side, what do we have?
This is my girlfriend Stormy, my brother Eric, and my sister Naomi.
Okay, let's move forward in front of the podium so we can get a picture of everybody. Make sure we can see the guys.
Chief, you want that in?
We'll do that. That'll work. You're all family. Get close.
Great. Well, big round of applause, everybody. Thanks. Chief, any other words? I think the officers should introduce themselves, yes?
I can do that.
Okay,
Let's do that.
please.
If y'all would like to go ahead and take your seats.
Right into there. Introduce yourself.
I'm Officer Martinez,
First name?
Joshua Martinez.
Okay. It's great to have you here. Where are you from?
Originally grew up here in San Antonio. moved to Houston about 20 years ago and just recently moved back.
Welcome back. It's good
Thank
to have you. Welcome to Gardner Ridge.
Sure.
Thanks, Joshua.
Thank you, sir.
Good to have you here. Carlos, introduce yourself to everybody.
I'm Carlos Rivera, originally from North Texas, a little town called Plainview, Texas. Just moved down back to San Antonio, and we're glad to be here.
So Carlos is known as a husband, a father, and obviously a coach, because that's a family, but also a starting lineup for the team. So welcome, Carlos. It's good to have you here. Welcome to Gardner Ridge. Another round of applause. Thanks. You get everybody?
Mayor Rock? Mayor Harris.
Yep. That's a good introduction. So next time they see us from the dais on 2252 or Schoenthal going too fast, obviously introductions have been made already, so. Welcome, family, and goodbye. It's great to see you. Thanks for coming out tonight. And Joshua and Carlos, thanks for being here in Gardner Ridge. All right, that's item number 3 complete. Item number 4 is citizen comment period. We have one person signed up. Remember, we can't comment on what you have to say, but we're listening and taking notes. And Thomas Klimas. Klimas, sorry.
Tom and Pat Klimas, Garden Ridge residents since 4 August 1994, 9610 Meadow Rue. Last July in 2023, correspondence came out about rear load versus side load in the renewal of the contract with Republic. And then went through the city council and then came out to be the side load. I had some correspondence with the mayor. I was dead set against it. I have a lot of landscaping. I have a lot of bags out there. They generally pick them all up. So be it. Monday, August 14th, the receptacles were received. Tuesday, the 22nd, this was last year, they started the pickup. I have changed my mind. It was a prudent decision. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome to speak anytime at the beginning of our meetings, Thomas. Thank you so much. It's good to get good feedback. All right, that was the only person we had signed up, so that concludes item number 4. Moving on to item number 5, the consent agenda. These items may be acted upon in a single motion. No separate discussion or action on these items will be held unless requested by a council member. Public comment on these items may be heard during citizens' participation. However, that does not mean the item will be considered outside the consent agenda. Council, does anybody have anything you want to pull from this month's consent agenda? No. Okay, if nobody has anything to pull, can I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Can I have a second? We have a motion to approve and a second. Kelly Beecha. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda passes. Thank you, council. Item number 6, staff reports. 6A, city manager monthly activity report. Nancy, ma'am, you have the floor. It's great to see you. Looks like you're doing well.
Great to see everybody. Great to be here. Feels good to be out of the house, let me tell you. I'm going to start off with a few thank yous that have been received. First of all, we had a large card thanking the City Hall for the 4th of July parade. I'm not sure who sent it. Oh, the library, I'm sorry. Okay, it came from the library, the kids at the library. Well, I think we all enjoyed putting on the 4th of July parade. Linda also received a thank you from a couple of little girls who were here spending some time with their grandparents and visited the library for several events. And you'll see the little rocks in the pictures that says, "Thank you, we will miss you." And then Chief Eberhardt and Sergeant Osborne received a thank you from the Mueller family for assisting them with traffic control during the funeral services for Mr. Mueller. Okay, on to employee anniversaries. Wendy Bippert, 1 year. And Michelle Hinojosa, 4 years. Congratulations. Okay, volunteer hours. We had 79 volunteer hours from Citizen Police Academy Alumni Association. Bill Stuffers was 7 volunteer hours. Library was 143, totaling 229 volunteer hours for July. And the next item I have is, I wasn't able to attend First Friday on August 2nd, but I understand that it was a real smash. I think we have a video or some things to show from that First Friday event.
I didn't go very
I think
high.
I'm high enough. You guys are good. No, just a little more. He's like, those are heavy watermelons too. Ready?
I was wondering where that was coming from.
4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, drum roll. Wait, here we go. Drum roll. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wow. Good job, Cindy. Good job. Higher.
I don't think higher is possible.
Oh, drum roll. Yes, dear. I'm drum rolling. I'd be so scared. 5, 4, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whoa!
Oh, that.
Yay! That's my mom's coworker. I know her. Everybody wave. That's right in our eyes.
Great fun. Looks like it was had by all. Our next First Friday event is scheduled for October the 4th from 5:30 to 7:30 at Paul Davis Park. Please join us for First Friday in October.
That's going to be hard to top, and we had a pretty good crowd for hot August nights, so Cindy, great job with that. That was awesome. So October, we're going to have a band, Low Place Legends. We're thinking of a costume contest, maybe some pumpkin decorating, and we're looking for a portable haunted house too. So we'll see what we can do with that. Great job. And for the record, that was 75 feet that Cindy dropped from. So, and also for the record, this is for Assistant Police Chief Dan. We were not feeding the deer. That's called composting out in the park. So just making sure that we've cleared that up. Thanks, Nancy. Council, any questions for Nancy? All right. On to item number 6B, Finance and HR Monthly Activity Report. One of the busiest people in South Central Texas this month. Go ahead, Robin.
Thank you very much. The City of Garden Ridge has 2 vacant positions currently. We are still looking for that water utility operator, and we have 1 vacancy, just patrol officer position left. So, I mean, getting these new hires in has felt great. We're getting our staff up, and it's been really good. In that vein, we are actually having our staff open enrollment meeting next week. We have reps coming from Texas Health Benefits, AFLAC, TMRS, to give their open enrollment annual options to the employees. So everybody's supposed to be coming for that, and we will have a good open enrollment. And that's all I have to report.
Thanks, Robin. We'll be hearing much more from you a little bit later on. Council, anything for Robin, HR and Finance? Thank you so much. On to item number 6C, City Secretary Monthly Activity Report. Marissa, ma'am, floor.
Thank you. I just have a couple things to highlight on my report. The first is that we have an upcoming holiday, so city offices will be closed on Monday, September 2nd in observance of Labor Day. And the South Texas Blood and Tissue is hosting a blood drive this Saturday, August 10th, from 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at the Community and Event Center, and there are still appointment slots available. I also wanted to just give everyone an update. The City of Garden Ridge has reported 100% compliance for our annual cybersecurity training for fiscal year 2024. So thank you to everyone for getting all of your documents into me. And one last thing is that our Assistant City Secretary, Cindy Simmons, has started working on obtaining the Texas Registered Municipal Clerk designation through the Texas Municipal Clerk Certification Program. For those who may not know, this is a professional development program with university-level courses where successful completion requires approximately 200 hours of individual home study and online homework, exams over 4 different courses, and attendance at 8 two-day seminars. So I'm very proud of her hard work and the dedication that she has already shown in just a few short months with the city. And I am grateful that the city supports continued professional development for all of its staff. That's all that I have.
Thanks, Marissa. Awesome. Cindy, lots of praises coming your way tonight. That's great. Council, anything else for Marissa? Okay, moving on to our chief. Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, sir. So most everything I've got is on the report. There we go. Everything is on the report with the exception of 2 items. But I did want to emphasize, so you've met all 3 of our new hires now. And so we have them spaced out 2 to 3 weeks from hiring. So things have been really busy over there with all the block training that we do for 2 weeks before we put them in the FTO program and send them out on the road, which takes another 4 to 6 months, depending on their level of ability and training in the past. We're hoping Officer Rivera gets through a little quicker since he's got some experience under his belt. So hopefully he'll get out on the road pretty quick. The only things I did want to add to the report was National Night Out is coming. We're doing things totally different this year. We've been putting it out on social media for a couple of months now. We're still trying to emphasize it. We're trying to put it back to what it was intended to be. And that's getting people out in their communities and getting out and meeting their neighbors and doing that sort of thing. So we're encouraging block parties, and HOA parties and things of that sort. We only have a couple signed up right now, I think only 2, so we still need some more folks out there to do some organization and get with their neighbors and put a little events together. We will be out, all of us will be on, we'll be making visits to anybody that does that evening. I believe there's also a contest going for some photo contest, but it has to be with one of our officers in order to do that. So we'd like to encourage folks to get out, get that scheduled, meet your neighbors, put on some sort of event there where you have a little barbecue, get together, and get that camaraderie in your community that it was intended to do. So we really want that to come together this year. The only other thing I wanted to talk about was 12 September. We'll have another meeting before now and then, but I wanted to bring it up. Pizza with the Police is coming up on 12 September here in this room. We enjoy a bunch of pizzas. We have 2 or 3 different sponsors, not sure who it's going to be this time. And we all get together, no agendas, just come in, meet all the officers, have a conversation with them. It's a good time. That's all I've got, sir.
Thanks so much, Chief. Kelly, is Wildwind signed up for National Night Out?
Sounds like an opportunity.
What's that?
Sounds like an opportunity.
Does sound like an opportunity. Awesome. We can all gather at Todd's acreage too, right off the back cave too, right? Council, anything for the chief? Awesome. Great job on the hiring, Chief.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, moving on to 6E, Public Works Department. Stephen, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the month of July, Public Works completed 375 tasks, recorded 2.66 inches of rainfall at the Public Works shop, did some road repairs on Old Nacogdoches Road, Regency Oaks, prepared and hosted and cleaned up after the 4th of July event. As a reminder, August dumpsters are back, August 10th, 8 to 5, August 11th, 12 to 4, August 17th, 8 to 5, and August 18th, 12 to 4. Eric also attended a local Rabies Control Authority class. And we have 4 dogs ready for adoption currently up at our shop. That's all I have for Public Works Department.
Council, anything for Stephen for Public Works? Stephen, a shout out to Manny on Sunday. We were out walking our dogs and a car approached us and their dog had gotten out from Forest Waters at like 3 a.m. and they couldn't find the dog. And then literally he leaves and here comes Manny in the truck on his way to go pick up an injured dog, a stray, on Sumac Cove. And it turns out, we talked to Manny a little bit and it turns out that was the dog that the individual was missing and he returned him right to his house 15 minutes later. So that was great work for Manny. Thanks so much.
I'll pass it on.
And you're still on for utilities.
All right, for the month of July, we pumped 39.16 acre feet out of the Edwards. Year to date is 169.46. We have currently, on July, end of July, we currently had 352 acre feet. Edwards aquifer is still in stage 3. All required bacterial samples passed for the month. Our water loss was 2.5%. Also in July, we had our water compliance audit from TCEQ. This happens every 3 years. The investigation takes place every 3 years and is done to make sure that the city follows all TCEQs and regulations concerning water quality, disinfection, and all reports that go along with that. They also inspected all the water sites and all records concerning our water operation. We received no violations. We did have some things that we were lacking, but got those cleared up within 14 days, so they removed any issues off of that. Work orders completed 247, locate 72. Total portal customers 843. Meter daily readability percentages 99.51% for 1,698 meters. No main breaks reported. 1 leak adjustment request, 1 approved for $170.48. That's all I have for utility side.
Thank you, Stephen. Jesse?
Yeah, just that rain really helped because the water pumped in July was 55% of last July, which is like 60 acre feet, which the rain makes a big difference around here, so, yeah. Also, great job with an accountable unsold. That's, I think, 4 months, 5 months since you've been doing that, so. And also no city-owned leaks, so great work. Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse. Council, anything else for Stephen with utilities? All right, Stephen, thank you so much. On to item number 6F, Library Monthly Activity Report. Miss Linda, always great to see you.
Thank you,
Floor
sir.
is yours, ma'am.
Thank you. We had quite a few activities. We were really busy this summer, and that's how we love it. We've shown you some pictures of special activities during June and July, but I just thought I'd let you know, we had a lot of regular things, Monday through Friday, week after week. One of our favorites was Adventure Wednesdays. We did worm farms and sent them home with the kids. The parents loved, the mothers loved it. If you go back up, Cindy, they're digging for dinosaur bones there in these little swimming pools. We had hidden the bones. And then going down, we had Pirate Day, and we gave them all pirate names, ARG. And we used the same little pools to dig for coins and gemstones, which they seemed to have a good time. And the very last day was water play day, and it was just plain old fun. We did try to combine reading along with physical activity for mental and physical health, fitness. Then we had crafts with Kim. Those were with a purpose. Actually, they're the ones who made those big cards. And they made doggy pillows and blankets and a lot of different things to give back to the community was their purpose. And then tomorrow night is the culmination of summer reading. We're going to have the interactive movie night right here in this room. It's fun for all families. It's just a kind of cute thing, Kung Fu Panda. And then we will give out 12 prize baskets and 4 grand prizes, and we'll call it the end of summer reading, though some will keep reading. Some parents have said, please keep on, because the kids are highly motivated to get little tickets for those little prizes. This is the only children's activity we'll have during August. For the rest of the time, the children's activities will be on hiatus so we can plan and prepare for the next 11 months. And of course, when you get 2 women who have about 15 minutes of spare time, there will be rearranging of furniture and books, which will undoubtedly lead to some confusion. I like to tell people, we like to keep you confused, and we're good at it. So, but I think it'll make things run more smoothly, and then we'll be ready to hit the road running in September.
Thanks so much, Miss Linda. Council, anything for our librarian? Kung Fu Panda tomorrow night, right here. All right, that completes item number 6. On to item number 7, City Engineer Project Status and Reports. Hank, great to see you. Floor is yours.
There we go, figured it out this time. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to touch on the remobilization date for early September. It's still possible, but we have 4 utilities at the FM 2252 through 009 intersection that need to go in before we can do work there. I was expecting the first of the 4 to be out there this week. They still haven't been, so I'm going to keep on them to keep that coordination up with TxDOT. It's just a chain reaction that we need to sit back for and just wait for them to get in there. But I'll stay on top of it, and hopefully we can still hold to that date, and I'll just keep you updated on where they're at. That's really the biggest part I had.
Council, anything for Hank? Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 8, City Commission and Committee Reports, Recommendations, Possible Actions. 8A, Planning and Zoning. The commission did not meet in July, therefore there's nothing to report at this time. And 8B, Water Commission. The Water Commission did not meet in July, so there's nothing to report at this time. That completes 8. On to item number 9, Approvals and Authorizations. The following items are for discussion, consideration, and action. 9A, Unified Development Code, UDC, comparative analysis presented by the Silvis Group. So Kate, while you're on your way up here, welcome. Nancy, will you introduce this for us, please?
Kate Silvis, with the Silvis Group, has compared our Unified Development Code to other cities and their practices for development within their cities. She's done a great job on this report, and I am anxious for council to hear it and hear your comments.
Kate, it's always great to see you. Thanks for being here, and thanks for what you provided for us, and we are ready to hear the results. Thanks so much, and make sure you hit the talk button and turn it red. Second button. There you go. The floor is yours.
Well, good evening, and thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Nancy, for that kind introduction. I'm grateful to be here and honored to have the opportunity to talk to you about something that is very dear and near to my heart, and that is planning in the context of economic development. Certainly, I don't want to move the course around too much. That being said, I'm very excited to be here tonight, and I want to tell you what an honor it has been to look at your Unified Development Code and really explore how the other communities are doing economic development in the context of planning and their development codes. So I prepared some slides here, and then there's a longer report if you are brave enough to read through 271 pages of my analysis. You'll probably have enough to sleep on. But I just wanted to kind of give you a sense of the report itself. So that's a little bit about us. I am a woman. I represent the Silvis Group, which is a public entity. We do consulting for public entities throughout the state of Texas. We do site selection, commercial real estate, and economic development consulting services. I've been in economic development for 20-plus years. I helped bring Caterpillar to Seguin. I helped redevelop Kelly Air Force Base and spent 10 years there. And so I absolutely love economic development and how it makes a community run and sing. So I'm just really excited to be here to tell you a little bit about us. We have been in existence since 2020, so thank you, COVID. And we are certified as a Texas Historically Underutilized Business. I'm a certified economic developer, and that's a little bit about me. So in terms of an executive summary, the slides kind of outline for you what the objective was. And I want to read slides to you. I want to talk to you about what it was that we're proposing to do. Our objective is really to identify what your Unified Development Code is and how it compares to the other communities that are like you in size as well as in density and in area. So in that regard, we intended to provide you findings and recommendations to help you foster a positive business climate in the community, the city of Garden Ridge. Now, we do know one thing, that is for sure. In the report itself, it outlines the fact that you are in Comal County, which is one of the highest volume of activity in the United States. It's one of the highest growing counties in the United States, and number 7 in the United States in terms of growth. And so you are on the verge or at the very edge of Comal County, and as a result, you're facing challenges. You're going to face challenges in terms of growth and business development, as well as being able to pay for those roads and the services that our police officers and all of your services that are necessary to make your community run. So that being said, typically, as it turns out, the city of Garden Ridge, as you know, has traditionally relied on property taxes to be able to support your services. And unfortunately, that isn't financially sustainable, particularly when you have heavy truck traffic going through your community. There's a great deal of impact on infrastructure and being able to provide safety in that kind of environment. So unfortunately, aside from your wonderful community parks and libraries and all of that, there are very few amenities within the city limits, and so residents do most, if not all, of their shopping outside of the city of Garden Ridge. And as a result, the community has very little sales tax revenue. And I'm going to say a little bit about sales tax revenue because, quite honestly, those two words, the sales tax, is the thing that makes a community be able to diversify not only services to its citizens, but also diversify shopping opportunities and places to work. The city of Garden Ridge, therefore, as a solution to this problem, must diversify its revenues and increase economic development. And in the context of that, economic development really rests with commercial real estate, which I also have that hat because that's what I love to do. In terms of commercial real estate development, however, commercial real estate really relies on a community to prescribe how they can develop inside of your city, inside of your city boundaries. So this report is intended to help you decide, ways in which you can address ways to create or help foster a positive business climate and then spur economic development. So here are my findings. First of all, I want to pay a huge compliment to your leadership, beginning with the city council, but also particularly with the city staff. Nancy Kane is a delight to work with and an enormous, she's the professional of the professionals, I have to say. She has done a lot of heavy lifting with me on this, and I just want to say thank you publicly to you, Nancy, for that. The good news is, strengths are that the city leaders want to bring economic development to Garden Ridge and want to remove barriers to entry. And the city leaders also see opportunities in Garden Ridge and are looking for solutions. So those are very important things, to be aware of a problem and wanting to solve it, two key elements. And then, of course, the city administration eager to increase business development in the community, knowing the development process very well. And of course, the financials are always an impact directly. So the strengths really is that everyone we met with believes in shopping local, without a doubt. I met with several business owners, leaders in the community, 4 business owners in the community who have and own businesses in the community and also reside in the very same community that they work and live and play in. So these business owners we interviewed are all residents and are very proud of Garden Ridge. They love it here. And that's the reason why they own land in Garden Ridge as well. They own land and they're very motivated to bring business and development to the community, which is a huge strength. Now, the challenges. Barriers to entry for business development. Let's just look at it for what it is. Timelines can take up to 18 to 24 months for for completion of ground-up construction. And what I mean by that is from the very beginning of starting the planning process to opening the doors of the building, in some cases has taken up to 2 years, not for any, just by the nature of the planning process taking some time that, extends the process of being able to develop. Changes to zoning ordinances do limit the community's business opportunities. The city administration, I will say, is very capable, but she and an engineer are the 2 people that are critical for that and everything else in the community. So I want to give a huge applause to Nancy for being able to do what she does. But again, being able to accomplish all of what she has, she could use more support, in my opinion. That's my opinion, and I'll stick to it. The Development Ordinance 13 is 166 pages long, and I will say, with a master's degree in urban administration, I had to take breaks reading through it. I had to come back to it and come back to it and come back to it, and I was paging through and paging through. I will say, it's unwieldy and it's difficult to interpret. You want to get your head around it, and you're not exactly sure So that was a major takeaway. And then recent decisions, I have in parentheses, food trucks, have run contrary to the code of ordinances that have been adopted. Then further, business leaders. So I mentioned that I spoke to 4 business leaders, and some of them have strained relationships based on past or recent decisions. Some are skeptical. They don't believe that progress can or will be made. They were like, well, I'll see if this really happens. They were willing to talk, they were willing to express their concerns, but they also expressed that they were frustrated with some of those past decisions. And then, on a side note, and we really didn't go into this further, but it appears that relationships with the quarry were at least strained or support was unclear. So I didn't go into that aspect of your economy really in further, just to mention it in passing, that it has an impact on your community because it is such a large part of who you are and where you've been. So the quarry is a humongous strength, in my opinion, to be able to help you accomplish your economic development goals. So let's just head on to the next slide. So recommendations, this is the good part. Let's just get on to the recommendations. So I outlined these in short, midterm, and long-term goals. First, review the UDC for each community in our report. It is 271 pages. I won't lie to you. It will put you to sleep. But what is interesting about it is what we found is that there are communities that are really stretching forward to make economic development happen and possible in their communities. Now, some of those are like you and some are not. For example, if you look to Seguin and Selma, what is really extraordinary about their UDC codes is that it's very permissive. May is as opposed to shall and must there's a sense of permissiveness, a sense of relationship building, as well as realizing that these decisions that you all are making have an impact on the decisions that the business owners can make. So I encourage you to pay special attention to Seguin and Selma on their codes, and I put that in extensive notes in each community. And also review the graphs, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I would recommend that you conduct a council workshop on economic development. And that would be to help you define not only what businesses you want Garden Ridge to attract, but also to create and build economic development incentives that are really tailor-made to your community. And then create meaningful and realistic goals. You can't go out and build Rome in a day. It won't happen that way, but you must start, and you have to decide what it is that you want to attract and how to get there. It's a process. Economic development, unfortunately, doesn't happen overnight, but studying your UDC is a very good step in the right direction. And then also, I would recommend strongly that you commit to revisit the Quick Trip decision and remove the obstacles for that. That one decision, as unpopular as it may be to suggest it, it's revenue and it's a great business that offers job opportunities for kids that are growing and looking for ways to move into the workforce in a way that is surprising. Really, they promote from within, and those jobs actually wind up giving those kids and those adults an opportunity to make up to 6 figures. I mean, it's an extraordinary company if you haven't studied it, but anyway. And then, of course, a small thing, you can update your website to include a Doing Business in Garden Ridge tab. That is not something that you do have yet, and it's a small kind of welcome to Garden Ridge aspect that could be made and make it easier for businesses to find their way through your planning process. In medium term, I strongly recommend that you work to strengthen relationships in the business community. They can be your greatest cheerleaders. Mindy is here. She is a great cheerleader, but there are many businesses in the community that are looking forward to ways to make money, because that's what they're in business for, and they want to help. Take a business owner to lunch, listen to their perspective, create a business leader council, serve as an advisory team, meet quarterly, revisit Ordinance 13, ask them to help you simplify it, look at it from their perspective, create a communication piece. Councilwoman Swint mentioned that messaging and marketing is a big part of it. And yes, you know, how to build your business in Garden Ridge is one element of that, but make your business community leaders part of your solution. They already live here, they want to do business here. Use that as a strength and play into that. Obtain economic development training for council and staff leadership. Provide planning and zoning training for P&Z Commission members, and automate the planning process as much as possible. Make it easy for Nancy, because she's got lots on her plate, and she's not telling me to tell you that, but I can tell you, as having been in a position of responsibility in a community close by, anything you can do to make it easier for businesses and the staff is best. And then long-term, codify your ordinances online. I understand that you're in the process of doing that. Use a tool such as MuniCode. Communicate with your residents about the importance of economic development. A lot of people, and I will tell you, are afraid of business development. What is it going to do to our businesses? What is it going to do to our roads? What is it going to do? How is this going to affect us? It will, but at the same time, there are some tough decisions that rest in front of the city council on a regular basis. And it's a difficult process to decide, this is the direction we're going to go, and let's all get behind it and do this thing that we need to, in order to pave our streets, in order to pay our police officers what they're worth, in order to keep the lights on at City Hall. Those are small things that all of us take for granted, but the money comes from somewhere. And the best way to do that is to not cause residents to have higher tax rates, and you all know the answer to that, I think. All right, so be engaged and stay involved in chamber membership. Yes, I said that. Tri-County Chamber is one of the finest organizations around. The Church Chamber also offers opportunities for membership. Strengthen your relationship with the quarry. Okay, I'm a third party, I'm outside, I'm an observer, but still, that is a huge, enormous private entity in your community, and it's here to stay. Do what you can to strengthen that relationship. Create and execute an annexation plan. Look for ways to increase your economic development with Bracken Village as a possibility. Create an economic development corporation. Of course, this is long-term, but I'm trying to kind of step you through how do you get from point A to point B. And finally, that last point, your business leaders really are your evangelists. Use them. They want to be here. They want to do business here. They want to bring business here. And once those relationships are built and strengthened and follow through, those relationships can bring more businesses to your community than you can imagine. When I was the EDC director in Converse, I recognized first day on the job that the business community wasn't talking to City Hall. And so I made it my business over the next 8 years to really focus on those relationships. And before you know it, those businesses couldn't talk enough about Converse. So I want to tell you, that one key thing, your business leaders, they have a vested interest in your success. All right, here's some data. Well, I'll talk a little bit about data. I'm sorry to keep going on, but I could talk about this all night long, obviously. Population, here's Garden Ridge at the lower end, 4,000. These are current census population diagrams. We compared Garden Ridge to Bulverde, Selma, Bernie, Seguin, and New Braunfels. Obviously, New Braunfels is the big gorilla at 90,000 people as of 2020. In the land area here, we have Garden Ridge is in second place behind Selma in terms of tight land area. Selma is 5 square miles, and Garden Ridge is a little bit over 7 square miles. New Braunfels, obviously, 45,000 square miles. Population density, we looked at the people in your population, and it took that based on square miles within each community. And so Garden Ridge is sitting next to Bulverde as the people per square miles as an indicator of how dense is the population in your community. You're right next to Seguin. Seguin has 700 people per square mile, and Garden Ridge is at 578. That's incredible. So you have some comparables to look at in terms of, metrics. This chart, sales and use tax is an indicator of economic strength and vitality. You'll see a lot of the dynamics of year to year to year, year over year growth and decline. A lot of that happened in 2020 and 2021 because everyone was shopping from home. So you saw a big blip, and then you saw some drop off, and you saw some recovery in some communities. And so a lot of that has a lot to do with people shopping away from the community. When they leave the community to go shop elsewhere, they take their money with them. And so you don't have that sales and use tax on your financial page. Now, this last slide, I believe is the last slide of my data, is the economic activity. And so in relation to population density and relation to land area, how big is Garden Ridge in relation to all of these other communities? The size of the circle is the value of sales and use tax for each community, and that points us to understand where communities are more business friendly from the value of sales and use tax. So you can see the size in relation to that. So my conclusion, rapid growth in the region, undeniable, presenting significant issues, especially within Comal County, traffic congestion surrounding communities, et cetera, legislative changes. All of these are impacting the city of Garden Ridge's ability to do what it does best. And finally, next steps. You have the ability to step through this, the ability to control development within your boundaries. And now is the time to remove those obstacles, to be strong and be fearless about what you can and cannot do. And that takes, study and deliberate, process of deciding what it is that we want to be when we grow up and how to get there. Thank you. And then following here, we have a copy of the report in further analysis.
Kate, thank you so much for putting together that presentation and all the research you did and the data you collected and then putting it all together. We really appreciate this. And it's a first step for the city of Garden Ridge as we continue to pursue economic development responsibly, obviously, and we're in accordance with our master land use plan and where our residents really want to go. So thanks so much.
Congratulations, Mayor, and congratulations to all of you for all your hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, anything for Kate? Kelly?
Well, I was just looking through the list of, what are some things we could do now, right? And I love the doing business with this tab. I really like that. That's just a little tiny thing that we can do, and we'll talk later about a marketing piece we're working on. I think that would be perfect to add to our website, and theoretically should be something somewhat easy to add quickly.
Anybody else?
I thought it was a great report. I told Kate earlier before the meeting, there's some good things we need to work on, like I know it was part of Ordinance 13 rewrite, and it was tough. And Dr. Jim back there, tell you the truth, it was over 200 pages to begin with. So we cut it down some, but obviously not enough. But we did cut it down, and it was very painful to get there. And but obviously we need to do some work from what you found. So I'm willing to work on that with planning and zoning if we need to. There's some other things on here. The other question on population to acreage. Did you take out the quarry from the land?
No, I did not.
Because the quarry's about half the
I
area.
did not.
See,
You are
so
correct
If
about
you take
that.
the area, the quarry out of that, then the ratio's gonna be a lot different.
I'm glad you pointed that out, sir.
So you might wanna look
Thank
at
you.
that. Yeah.
Thank you,
Okay.
Councilman.
So-
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to think about what we're gonna do next with this information. We need to have a path forward or something. We need to, so, I'd like to help on that process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
We got a lot of work to do.
We
Yep.
do. Thank you, Kate, so much. More to
It
follow.
was my honor. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.
Okay, on to item number 9B, Tri-County Chamber of Commerce membership. Let me reintroduce this. Council, we met about this when we canvassed the election in May. We had, before we canvassed the election, we had 2 members of this dais that were out of town at the time. And when it came up for vote, it was voted down through discussions with Kelly, as well as some residents, and Mindy Paxton. Kelly and I wanted to bring this back to council. We don't have a full council up here, but we have more than we did in May to rediscuss this. So with that, I'd like to welcome Mindy Paxton to the meeting. And Kelly, anything to add on this before we turn it over to Mindy?
I do have something to add, but after I can mention it after she's done, right? Okay.
Nancy, anything else to add? No, sir. Okay, Mindy, the floor is yours.
So I did send a report. I'm not sure if all of the council were able to review it and see like what we have accomplished throughout the 2 years of your city partnership. We do see, and Kate did a really good job about, like, I'm like, I don't even really have to do a whole lot of work here because Kate covered it. The economic development is part of why we partnered up with you guys, and it does take years to develop that. And recently, I'm not going to go over the details, but we've brought hundreds of people, businesses from all over the Tri-County area to Garden Ridge. We've had our largest mixers each year have been at Paul Davis Park. And partly that's because Kelly texts me and he's like, you better get people here. And so I get on everybody. I'm like, hey, we got to make sure that we bring everybody to Garden Ridge. And we've been very successful with that. And we have had several businesses join Tri-County Chamber over the past 2 years. We have a board member that represents a business in the city of Garden Ridge, Veteran Air. And they did an analysis of how much referrals and how much money they've made off of Tri-County referrals, and it's over $300,000 in the 2-year partnership with Veteran Air. And then, of course, we do partner with others, and it sucks because the county line, we have Raptitude and all of them that are just right outside. But we still bring people to this area as much as possible, and we've had 3 luncheons at your community center. One of our largest luncheon is our Prize Palooza, which brings 130 business people to your city to see that. We also had our elected officials event, and we plan to have it reserved to have our last 3 meetings, lunch meetings, as well as elected officials this year at the community center. Last year, we brought over 150 elected officials from Texas, from the state level on down, to the city of Garden Ridge. Then we've partnered with JBSA, and I hold 3 honorary positions, and we were able to bring Garden Ridge into the air show, which we all know brings the economic impact it has on this area, just to have the air show here in our area. They moved it from Kelly to Randolph for Tri-County Chamber. And that is a true story. I'm really not supposed to say that because it was partly because of parking, but because they were like, why do we not have the support that we had before? And it was because we support Randolph Air Force Base so much with Tri-County and the Northeast Partnership, which you are a part of. In the history of the Thunderbirds, they've never announced that they are going to come back to an Air Force base, but they announced it in the air show this past year. They've never done that, and it was because of the efforts between Texas Tri-County Chamber and the Northeast Partnership, which Garden Ridge is a very big part of. Your chair, or is that what you're called, chair of that? I'm like, I don't know, president. And so we are moving and shaking and growing. We are up over 300 members in our organization. And I don't know if you've all been on Facebook to see the video. I shared it with Marissa. Thank you, Mayor Erickson. He was the bravest mayor that I can say. He climbed the top of the water tower So if you don't follow us on Facebook, please go watch the video. It is incredible. And we made this video to show the partnership that we have within the community with our business members as well as our city partners and JBSA. We had cups up in jets and they did aerials, full aerials with it. Are you gonna play the video? That would be awesome. Yes, I'm very proud of this. Let y'all watch.
Guys, it's time.
It was fun. And for me, like, the funny part for me was Kelly throwing it from his business to city council. And then to me, it was you being on the tower, passing it to the base was perfect. And so I appreciate y'all's participation. We planned it Friday at 10:20. We started making phone calls and everybody made it happen. And we were able to make it happen within a week. But that's just one of the many things that we try to do to show our partnership within the community, the business, as well as our cities and JBSA. And so I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that we're definitely here to support Garden Ridge in any way that we can. And if you have any questions, I am happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Mindy. I'll start on my left. Todd, any comments or questions?
Well, if you remember back to the May meeting, it's pretty obvious where I stand on this. I'm just sitting here thinking about it now, and with the presentation prior to this about the economic development, we're going to have to be bold. As far as I'm concerned, we're 5 years behind the curve, maybe closer to 10. So we've got a lot of work that we're going to have to do. This is part of the reason why I'm sitting up here, is we're going to have to be bold and we're going to have to take action. And I think this being part of a Chamber of Commerce where it's Tri-County or somebody else, sorry, Mindy, but it's something that we have to do.
Nobody else.
I think it's money well spent. And that's nothing new from what I said back in May, so I'll quit talking now.
Jesse?
Yeah, I think going back to what Kate said about staying with the chamber, she mentioned Tri-County and the Chamber of the Shirts, Selma Cibolo. I think we ought to have, we do offer bids on other things. We ought to maybe invite Maggie to come here, like Cesari, but anyway, we ought to have options, or maybe both, I don't know. So both is too much money, but anyway, just thinking about, other options, so.
Thank you. Lisa?
So I went back and looked at our May council meeting when we voted on this without Kelly here, and just kind of reviewed our thinking. And my two obstacles, my two funds to pay for some of these things, so I don't, yeah, I'm okay with the money. And the second one was without Councilmember Bauer, who's going to be attending and participating. So that was my, remaining question to Kelly as far as our involvement.
Kelly?
Well, you guys know I have a lot of thoughts on this, so. There's many facets to marketing, right? And then, that's, the video is one small piece, right? But it's 3, 4, 5 years ago, we had zero relationships. And I say zero. We had very few relationships outside the city. And, Mayor, I remember you and I were talking when you were running. I said, are we going to get involved with Northeast Partnership? You're like, what's that? And now you're president. So, but there's many facets. And, step one, you've got to have great marketing in place, right? And I'll go into that further, Lisa and I will, on our EDC update. So we're working on that. We got to be more business friendly, right? We saw that in our presentation. We've got to be aggressive in our partnerships and relationships with surrounding cities. I think some decisions have been made in other cities that were a detriment to us, that if we had a better relationship then, they may not have made some of those decisions that they've made that affected us. Visibility to neighboring cities is important, including San Antonio. Three key things for me is, your chamber, your involvement in different things like NEP, Northeast Partnership, and AMPO. And, we have two people on very, very prominent boards now that we didn't have before. And I think being a part of the chamber really helped get you guys, like Jesse's on AMPO, which is awesome. I don't think we've had anybody ever on that board before. And the relationships that were carved, that were created through the chamber, you were recommended by City of Selma, right, for that position, I think. Yeah. And Rob, they were, after meeting Rob, they knew in 5 minutes, they already pushed him into that position. So, but those are relationships we may not have made. And, it's just one of those, it's one of those expenses. Yeah, it's $5,000 a year in the grand scheme of things. Like Todd said, we have to be bold, and aggressive in who we want to bring in, because there may be a time we're all not here, right? And might be things that we didn't pull in that we wanted to, and something comes along that none of us really wanted, and we couldn't stop, right? So the other thing is, my other point is, when we hire a new city manager, the first thing they're going to do is, one of the first questions that I would ask if I was applying for a city manager position is, what is your regional involvement? And it's so much easier for a new city manager to come in and start leaning into those relationships when it's already been carved for them. So, and I think this has helped do that. Investors and high-end developers, they want to know. They want to know what our regional and community involvement is. And potential businesses, investors, if you ask any business, they want to know, do you have a chamber of record, right? And probably the people we interview for Nancy's replacement, right, are going to ask those kind of questions. And so that's about all I have. But you guys know I'm very passionate about it. As far as partaking in chamber events, after hours, the after hours events, I'm able to attend during the day. Hopefully I can sway Brian into Mr. Place 5 over there to help me out with that. So
He's off on Tuesdays.
what's that?
He's off on Tuesdays.
Yeah, he is off on Tuesday. Yeah, the lunches are on Tuesday, but he is off that day.
Good to know.
For now.
So, Brian, if you're out there, you got to volunteer.
No, watch it.
That's all I have. Thank you. Thank you, Mindy.
I'm not trying to sway your
Thanks,
decision.
Kelly.
I just wanted to also tell you that Tri-County Chamber is happy to sponsor your pizza event, if you'll. I love pizza, so I was like.
That's the only way trying to sway the
I'm like,
decision.
you had me at pizza, so let me know if you want us to sponsor that.
Thank you,
Any other
Mindy.
questions?
We really appreciate it. So thanks for being here. Council, I don't have anything to add. I think you guys know where I stand on it. I climbed the water tower for Tri-County. So with about 5 harnesses and Dwayne right there. True.
After watching you do that, I felt a lot safer in that ladder truck. I mean,
That's right.
ladder.
That's
That
right.
was a-
That's right.
That was a lot safer.
That's right. That's good. Okay, so if there's nothing else to add, one of the things we did do after we voted this down in May, let a couple weeks pass. Nancy and I talked to Cynthia to make sure that we would be legal after council voted something down to bring something back up. Was there a time constraint, a time limit that we needed to meet? Because we've never officially adopted Robert's rules, even though we proceed with that, which would be 6 months. We're under no obligation for that, as well as nothing was written into our charter that said we couldn't bring this back up. So Cynthia, if I'm missing anything there?
No, sir, and the only thing I would add is that we also don't have a rule under the council's rules for agenda setting that says that something has to wait a specific amount of time before it can be reintroduced.
Okay, thank you. So we are legal to bring this back up, so just so you guys know. With that, any further discussion? If there's no other further discussion, anybody want to make a motion either way?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the renewal of the Tri-County City Partnership.
We have a motion to approve the renewal of the Tri-County Chamber of Commerce membership. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Call to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. We will be members of the Tri-County Chamber. Thanks so much, Mindy. And we put you up front with Kate, so you don't have to stay for the entire rest of the meeting, which could be long. Thanks for being here, though. Great video. On to item number 9C, request from Buckley Powder Company for a partial exemption permit to conduct blasting activities at Heidelberg Materials Servtex Quarry for the period of October 1st, 2024 through September 30th, 2025, and set annual permit fee. This is something we do every year for those of us that remember. And Nancy, the floor is yours to introduce.
Thank you, Mayor. Buckley Powder, which is the current blasting operator at the Hanson Quarry, has applied for the issuance of a partial exemption permit to continue blasting at the quarry. The permit will be requested will be for the period of October 1, 24 through 9/30/25, so it coincides with our fiscal year. The issuance of a permit is required by Ordinance 34 for them to be able to conduct blasting. We do charge an annual fee for the blasting permit. Last year, in '24, it was $31,453.35. I am recommending increasing that fee by 5%, which kind of covers some of our overhead increases in processing complaints, sending out reports, and working with various things with the quarry. So therefore, that increase would result in a fee of $33,026.22. We have not had any problems, they have not exceeded our limits in Ordinance 34. So I recommend council approve the issuance of a partial exemption blasting permit for Buckley Powder for the upcoming fiscal year.
Thank you, Nancy. Council, any questions for Nancy regarding this, or questions overall? Okay, there's no questions. Can I get a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the partial exemption permit for Buckley Powder Company to conduct blasting activities at Heidelberg Materials South Servtex Quarry for the period of October 1st, 2024 to September 30th, 2025, with a partial exemption fee of $33,026.22.
Thank you, Jesse. We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes, and the partial exemption permit for the next fiscal year is approved. Thanks, Nancy. On to item number 9D, 2024 tax rates. 9D1, review the 2024 no new revenue, voter approval, and de minimis tax rate calculations. Robin and Nancy, floor is yours.
I'll take it, Mayor. Our adjusted taxable value for the tax year 2024 has increased to $1,053,509,974 over last year's adjusted taxable value. The county tax assessor collector has calculated the 3 required tax rates in accordance with the prescribed worksheets that are set by statute. She calculated the no new revenue rate of, bear with me, my glasses are broken, so I'm having a hard time seeing these little numbers, of 24 cents, .248975, and the voter approval rate is calculated at .255156, and the de minimis rate of .295837. The no new revenue rate would not require a public hearing. However, the amount of property tax revenue that we have budgeted would be slightly lower with the no new revenue rate than what we have budgeted. The voter approval rate is the no new revenue rate with a 3.5% increase to your maintenance and operation rate. That will result in, Robin, what was that number?
Sorry. It would be about 52,000.
Additional revenue. The de minimis, we're required to have a public hearing with the voter approval rate. Your de minimis rate would actually bring in close to $500,000 additionally to the city's maintenance and general fund. However, you have to have a public hearing. And since that rate is higher than the no new revenue and the voter approval rate, it is subject to an election, a possible election. My recommendation to City Council would be that we adopt the voter approval rate that provides for the 3.5% increase in the maintenance and operation. Since, the tax rate is composed of 2 components, your maintenance and operation, which funds general fund, your debt rate, which services our interest and sinking funds. We have a slight decrease in that interest and sinking fund rate, or debt rate. That decrease would be .003162. If council does propose the 2024 tax rate based on the voter approval rate, it would actually be a .002578 decrease from the prior year's tax rate. So, it is a decrease from last year's tax rate. It will provide additional revenue into our maintenance and operation fund, or general fund. All we need to do is conduct a public hearing, and we have consistently approved, or proposed and approved, the voter approval rates. I'll quit rambling.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
Okay, council, so it's that time of year again to approve the tax rate. With no new revenue rate, we bring in less than we've budgeted for. With the de minimis rate, we raise taxes, we bring in close to $500,000 more. We have a public hearing, and it's subject to petition for election, and you're raising taxes. With voter approval rate, which is the recommendation from the city, we actually lower the tax rate, and we still bring in a little bit more revenue, and it meets our budget. And this is what we've done the past 3 years since I've been at the dais. So, in this position. So I'll start on my left. Todd, anything to add or questions? Jesse?
I'm good.
Lisa? No. Kelly? Okay. If that's the case and there's no other discussions, going on to item number 2, proposed by record vote, a tax rate for the 2024 tax year. Can I get a motion for one of the tax rates?
Make a motion to propose the voter approval rate of let's see, let me get the numbers right, 0.255156.
We have a motion to approve the recommendation from the city of voter approval rate. We have a second.
To propose, right?
Second.
Propose, yeah. Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll call it to a vote. It'll be a roll call vote. So, Council Place 1.
Aye.
Council Place 2.
Aye.
Council Place 3.
Aye.
Council Place 4.
Aye.
And Council Place 5 is not here tonight. So the motion passes. The 2024 tax rate for the city of Garden Ridge is voter approval rate. No new revenue plus 3.5% as discussed. Thank you, Nancy, and thank you, Robin. Robin, that's your first one, right? Great job. And thank you, council. Okay, moving on to item number 9E, interview panel recommendation for appointment to the Water Commission. Nancy, I'll introduce this.
Okay.
It's difficult to seek volunteers and get people to our commissions. We have planning and zoning, we have the Water Commission. So we had interviews back in March, Nancy, our original interviews?
Yes.
Back in March, and came forward with 3 candidates, which you approved, 2 to the Planning and Zoning Commission and 1 to the Water Commission. So Stephen, it's good to see you out there. Joe was out there earlier. And one of the candidates that we interviewed didn't know if was specifically there for planning and zoning, and didn't really know what the Water Commission was all about. That individual has come back to Nancy and I saying that, hey, I've read more about the Water Commission and done some research, and that's something I'd want to be involved with the city, and that's something I'd really like to do. Will you consider me for the Water Commission? We re-interviewed earlier in July and bring to you Nathan Dorsey as our recommendation to fill the remaining position on the Water Commission. Nancy, anything else to add?
No, you thoroughly covered it.
So Nathan, we told him that we were recommending him to council for approval for this position, and he was very excited and disappointed too because he's on vacation. He's had this plan for obviously months with his family. So he's probably watching tonight, and I hope you're enjoying your vacation, Nathan. And we are recommending your approval, otherwise he'd be your approval to the Water Commission for Nathan Dorsey. So council on my left, anything to add? Jesse?
Yeah, I'm very pleased to see that we finally got to fill place 7. We created that position, over a year ago, 2 years since we've had that position open? Yeah, we only had 6 commissioners on this one, and I recommended to add a 7th one to have both commissions at 7. So I'm glad to finally see us filling both commissions up completely.
Thanks, Jesse. Lisa? Kelly?
I like the fact that, we didn't have room for him on one commission, and he's trying, and he wants to dedicate some time to our city.
Outstanding. Okay, if there's no other discussion, could I get a motion to approve?
I got it. I move to approve the appointment of Nathan Dorsey to the Water Commission.
We have a motion to approve Nathan Dorsey to the Water Commission. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion to approve and a second for Nathan Dorsey. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Congratulations, Nathan. You're watching out there. We'll see you next week, or in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Okay, awesome. Thanks. On to item number 9F, proposal for executive recruitment services. I'll introduce this. We've talked about this. We talked about this at length in July for our July council meeting. I'll reiterate that we accepted Nancy's retirement request in July, and that will happen in March after 22 years with her at the helm as first our city administrator and now our city manager and obviously the general. So it is very unusual to have a city manager / administrator at the helm in any municipality for 22 years. And all of the recruiting proposals that we got and talking to the individuals from these proposals all reiterate that is just unheard of to have someone there for that long. And because the city is so different now than it was back in 2002, and with how important, especially now that we are home rule and a manager council form of government, how critically important it is to get this right and get it right the first time as we seek someone to replace Nancy, who we really can't replace, but someone to come in and as Nancy retires to keep the city going and keep council's direction in mind and run it daily, monthly, weekly, and yearly. So we have to get this right. When we discussed this, Nancy and I are like, even before it came to you guys for approval for her retirement, we talked about, hey, how do we do this? How do we find a new city manager as you retire? We quickly called Cynthia, and to remind you guys what we talked about in July, Cynthia said, the most important thing for us to think about is to be neutral as a council in our process of recruiting, choosing finalists, and writing a contract for the person that we finally choose, to remain neutral. And cities get in trouble when they don't remain neutral in this process, along with, if we get, 3 council members involved with something, it's a walking quorum unless we do it in open session. So it's very difficult to do this. She recommended hiring a firm, and the firm that she recommended to us right away was SGR as a recruiting firm that specializes in executive recruitment. So per your feedback, from July, we got 3 more proposals. One from Baker Tilly, who's SGR is a full-service executive recruitment entity specializing in this. Baker Tilly is a huge organization, and one of the other things they do is executive recruitment. We've received their proposal too. Both SGR and Baker Tilly are full service, and I'll come back to that, full service proposals. The other 2, Clear Career Professionals LLC, they approached us through just hearing about we're looking for an executive recruitment firm. They are not a full service proposal, if you will. They are local and will help guide us through the process, but it will require a lot more scheduling effort and time constraints on the city. And by that I mean on myself and Nancy and probably Robin. Then the last one that we got was from Lunt Consulting LLC, and that was upon recommendation from the city of Kirby who just used them to hire a few different positions, including the city manager and the city secretary and finance. So, and Janisha Greider was the mayor of Kirby. She was very happy with Lunt. So, but they're not a full service entity. I know you guys have read the summation that Robin primarily put together with some inputs from myself and Nancy of the 4 proposals, and you have read those. Let's talk full service. So full service comes in and they'll do, and this is, actually all of them will do something to this effect. They'll come in and conduct interviews. They'll get to know us as a council and as a city and as a city staff and see what our thoughts are for a new city manager, where the city is going, where we've been, where we want to go. And like we've already talked about, they'll take into consideration economic development, the master land use plan, residents' inputs and whatnot. They'll all bring that together. Most of them will come up with a brochure. Actually, they'll all come up with a brochure that they'll put together with pictures from our website, what Garden Ridge is all about, who we are, and that'll be part of the package that they send out. The difference between a full service and not full service is roughly about $10,000, going from what SGR is 26,400, Baker Tilly 26,950, Clear Career 16,000, Lunt Consulting 16,000, with a lot of different add-ons in there for both Clear Career and Lunt Consulting. So, and those add-ons would take you up to close to full service and much closer to the prices of SGR and Baker Tilly at $29,000 or $26,000. Full service takes us through that process and then coordinates the schedules when they need to of interviewing people where we want to go, like we've already talked about, and then comprising the brochure that will go out with the application process and the announcement of a job ad. And then they also come up with the actual ad itself and the application and send that out. So talking with SGR and Baker Tilly and Clear Career and Lunt Consulting, they all cast a good net, but the widest, most diverse, and farthest reaching net is going to be from SGR and Baker Tilly from my discussions with all 4 of them. And I think it's important that we cast a wide net to see who is out there and who is willing to come to the city of Garden Ridge, even if that is from the northeast corner of the continent or the country up in, somewhere in northeast Maine, to come and see us. All 4 of them are very pleased with the salary range that we have discussed, anywhere from the 150s on up. We will be very competitive with other cities for that. We've talked about the timeline, and they all very much like the 1 month overlap that you'll still have with Nancy and her replacement, to learn the city of Garden Ridge, to learn where the filing system is, all that stuff, meet everybody, and then for Nancy to be able to back off and let her replacement start being the city manager. Other fees, it's very common in the final contract, to offer to pay for moving expenses. Those range from $15,000 to $30,000 from the 4 individuals I talked to. So, and we have that in our budget to work through that. Most of them are about $20,000, depending on how big a family, or if it's just themselves that move here. So they go through and coordinate all the schedules for us and make it happen, and then start to bring and then come up with usually 15 candidates for SGR, about the same for Baker Tilly, less for discussing with them with Clear Career and Lunt Consulting. And then from there, then council starts to get involved with choosing the finalists. SGR likes 5 finalists together, and then they will categorize them, and they do this very specifically, 3 groups, actually 4 groups, qualified, somewhat qualified, and not qualified, but still want to present that to us. And then the 4th group is an in-place hire with a current city employee who, if they chose to apply, and obviously that would be qualified. So, but just a different entity in there. What are some other concerns that we talked about specifically last week? Hey, how do we ensure that we are not a stepping stone? So, and those were questions I asked of all of them. So, and they all said the same thing. There's no way to prevent somebody from coming in and taking the job and then leaving. You know, obviously they're not gonna be here for 10 to 20 years. We'd like them to be here for 10 years, we think, but it's just unheard of to have, like we talked about with, someone here for 22 years, and how lucky we are with that. So, but specifically with SGR, they go deep into the interview process and screening to see, hey, what this person is looking for. Why are they looking to leave their city, if that's where they are, another city, and go to Texas, come to Garden Ridge. They go deep into social media, very deep into social media. And if we want to, they can do a behavioral test, which I don't think we at this point, we would need to add that in. But look to see if they would be a good fit for the city. And then with our final interview process, we can meet them and see if they're a good fit for the city of Garden Ridge and for where we are and where we want to go. And the deeper we go into that process, the more confidence we can have in that person that we choose staying here for 3, 5, maybe 7 years, which is fairly common. So SGR and Baker Tilly give us a 1-year guarantee, and Clear Choice, or not Clear Choice, but Lunt gives us a 3-year guarantee. And all that guarantee of a person staying, whether they leave on their own or the council chooses to remove them, is just, hey, we'll go through the process again, and then add in certain fees on top of that. But the base process they would do again. They don't do that very often. So, and SGR and Baker Tilly don't do more than a year because there's just no way that they can foresee that. And they're very confident in their process of screening people. What other things? How are we doing on a timeline? Everybody's happy with, the 4 entities are happy with our timeline. But they say, hey, you really need to start as soon as possible because we have 2 considerations coming in there. One is the holidays coming up. Before you know it, they'll be here. And 2, if they are a city manager and they're leaving a city or a city employee, in their contract, they probably have a 30, 60-day clause to give notice to their council and to their city that they're leaving. So most of those, they can be 30, 60, or 90. Most are 60. So you got to go, hey, that's 2 months from the time that we make the announcement that that person is our finalist and our choice, and they sign a contract and then inform their employer, if that's a city, that, hey, I'm leaving. And if that's 2 months, man, we're already in mid-January before they need to be here when Nancy leaves, which means, we're here, they have to be here in mid-February, and they're telling everybody in mid-December that, hey, I'm leaving. So, and oh, by the way, the holidays. So we want to, timeline-wise, if you choose to go this route, timeline-wise, we want to put the ad out there sometime mid-October to very early November at the latest. So that's how quickly we need to, in my opinion, I think we need to act on this. What other things can I answer for you guys? That's it for now. I'll start on my right. Kelly, thoughts?
Okay, so between the two, let's say we vote on it today or we vote on it next meeting, whatever, how quickly? So if we choose one, how quickly can they turn? Like, get the ad out and,
We can, I mean, I will, if we choose tonight, which I recommend we do, I will contact them. I'll contact all 4 agencies tomorrow. But I will contact the agent, the firm that we choose specifically tomorrow and start that process. We will receive to do it in an open session unless we need to do something in closed session that we can't foresee right now. There'll be a spot in the agenda every single month that we give an update of where we are with the process. So we will start right away. So to meet those timelines. So, and the sooner we do that, the better we are. So we're not, something doesn't happen, and if something happens, we can roll with it. But we don't want to be in the position where we wait and then suddenly it's mid-February and we don't have a replacement yet. And then we're in the position of trying to find an interim city manager. So we are right on time at the moment. Did I answer your question?
yeah. I'm definitely in favor of the full service. I had scratched the other two. I know I don't, I mean, we won't, we need full service. My concern on SGR is the additional expenses that aren't included. And I look at Baker Tilly, and it seems like those are already included in the price. So I'm for spending the money to do this. It's a necessary evil, right? We've got to do it. Excuse me. But I'm just kind of torn on as far as what additional costs, because I'd hate to see it end up in the 50 grand range when we didn't expect it. That's my only concern.
So with SGR and Baker Tilly, so when we have the finalists, specifically when we narrow it down to particularly probably 2 finalists, it is common practice to bring them out here to Garden Ridge so that we can meet them in person. Talking to SGR today, he said one of the things is highly advisable is that you invite them and their spouse, if applicable, to come out. And that's at our expense to come out and interview them, or come out here and be with us to see how they fit in the city of Garden Ridge. So if we bring out SGR personnel to help us with that, that's the $1,000 a day in food and miles over to online visits. The $300 an hour plus expenses for work outside project scope, that's if we bring in Baker Tilly people for that process so they can help us when we invite them here. So I think SGR kind of listed all that stuff. I didn't see that was really covered in the Baker Tilly proposal, but that's what the $300 an hour means.
And do we have more info on the online survey?
So that is, I think the online survey is something we want to put together to survey the city and where the residents want to go. So, and that's why it's an added fee. Anything else? Lisa?
So you say these other 2 are limited service. What aren't they providing that the other 2 do? I'm not seeing too many differences in reading the reports.
The other 2 services will rely on mostly myself and Nancy to coordinate the schedules for everybody. They're much more heavily involved with getting having council involved in the process all the way through. So that full service is, they do all that scheduling process for us and keep us in the loop on everything. And the not full service, unless we add on things, means that we're doing it primarily.
I'm seeing scheduling these, but on the limited service ones as well. I'm having a real hard time with the cost. It's an enormous amount of money. I guess that's all I've got for right now.
Okay, Jesse?
You answered some of the, one question right now that I had was about, you know, when they came to, when the candidates come here. It's like when they become finalists or something, so not necessarily travel until that point, which clears up a lot right there. I don't think we should have them unless they really become the finalist. That's a lot of cost. But they need to be here at some point to be sure that, you know, what they see the area and all that. I haven't read in there, maybe, do they also, besides the flyer, do they also help with creating the job description, qualifications, requirements? They do all that, right? Yeah, okay. Because, you know, I think we need something, makes it uniform there. And I do agree the low bids bother me. Because we start adding all the different things, like they could be in the same range. So, even though they're limited service, they could still be as costly, so. That's all the questions I had, or comments.
Thanks, Jesse. Todd?
Biggest comment I've got with this is we can't afford to screw it up. We're on a limited timeline. We can't keep Nancy forever. As much as I tried to lock her into her office and tell her too bad she's not retiring, we can't do that. So we are literally on the timeline right now. We need to get started with this. We're searching for an executive. We're not looking for, I don't want to single any other career field out, so I'll just leave that thought in my brain. When we've done this before, even for the heads, like for the chief of police or those kind of things, we went through a process to get new bodies, to get names, to get recommendations. Well, this is their boss. We need to go to the next level above that and get executive recruiters in here that will find us the right people and get us somebody that will run this city. Hopefully we can find somebody that's, you know, a faint shadow of Nancy and they'll stay here for 10, 15, 20 years. But we need to get the right person. And you guys are going to pick up a little bit of theme on everything I'm saying as we sit up here over the next year or so. Is the time is now, and we got to move. We got to go. We got to be bold. We've waited as a city for, I think, a little bit too long, and we're almost overcome by events right now. So this is just another piece to that. We need the right city manager in here that's going to help us with the growth, with everything that's going on in the area, that's going to be involved in the economic development, that's going to be involved in potentially the Chamber of Commerce, whatever job it is we're going to have for them. They need to be involved in that. We've got to find the right person, the right personality, the right fit.
Thanks, Todd. Obviously, I agree with that. Some final words from me before a possible motion. I'm in favor of full service so that we get this right and they help us with the scheduling process, which is very, very difficult to do. And from day one, SGR has been the most responsive to me at my request, beginning right after Cynthia. That was her number one comment, was SGR. Reaching out to them, they got back to me that day, and then phone calls throughout much of July, late June and July. As I tried to educate myself on this process a little bit more, I told you guys last month I reached out to Belinda Willis from DFW Stratcom, who helped us with rebranding the city, marketing, as well as our crisis communication plan for the city of Garden Ridge. And she overwhelmingly said, SGR, this is what they do, and they're very good at it, and they will help us find the right person to be our new city manager. So with that in mind, full service and SGR has been the most responsive, and I've had the most positive feedback about them. So that's my input. Anybody else have anything to say or to move?
Okay, I'm convinced. I did some research on SGR, so I'm going to move that we hire SGR as a recruiter to look for our new city manager.
We have a motion to hire SGR as our executive recruiter to bring in a new city manager. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve SGR as our executive recruiter and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, I'll call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 3 ayes, 1 nay. The motion carries. We will hire SGR as our full-service executive recruiter to bring in our replacement for our new city manager. Thank you. All right, moving on to 9G, Republic Services Annual Rate Adjustment. Nancy, the floor is yours.
Per the city's agreement with Republic Services, they shall increase the rates for all services effective on each anniversary of the effective date of the agreement. So therefore, we received a letter from Republic Services requesting to increase their rates by 5.39% based on the Consumer Price Index for that particular industry. We did not receive that letter until after June 1st and they should have notified us by June 1st, which they did not. And what that does, it allows us time to notify our residents of the rate increase as well as make adjustments in our billing system for that increase. In your package, you have let me get to it. Should be the last couple of pages of your of that section, and it's a little bit easier to read. We still will remain with the same services of 2 times per week. Recycling, it is just that all the rates will be increasing by 5.39%. That the agreement does allow them to increase. They have asked if they, rather than starting this on the August 1st, if they could start that rate at September 1st billing.
Thank you, Nancy. Council, any questions about this process or the rate increase that Republic Services are allowed to do, written into the contract? And it's the Consumer Price Index. It's just the cost of doing business. Their costs go up, and that gets passed on to the cities and to the customers. So I don't know what else to say about that, but Kelly, anything? Lisa? No. Jesse?
Question I have is concerning the September 1st. Does that mean that September 1st bill, or in the bill that actually goes out in October 1st?
It should be the bill that goes out in October.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I wanted
Because
to be
the
sure.
rate will not be effective
until
until
September
that
1st.
September
Right, okay.
1st.
I just
So
didn't
it'd
get
be
that clarification. I wanted-
upcoming
That's what I
bill.
thought. I just wanted to be
Yes.
sure that that was it.
Yes. Yes.
Thanks, Jesse. That was a great clarification. Todd? Okay. If there's no other discussion, can I get a motion to approve the annual rate adjustment from Republic Services?
I make a motion to approve the annual rate adjustment for Republic Service.
We have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Nancy.
You're welcome, Mayor.
9H. Some good news here. Davenport High School Homecoming Parade. So Davenport High School has approached us again with supporting their 4th annual, that's gone by pretty fast, homecoming parade to start again at Triumphant Lutheran Church. Dan, you're smiling, aren't you? Right? Since you're always involved with this. Starting at Triumphant Lutheran Church and then working their way through Forest Waters, Sharon. And then in front, what's that? Yep, and then, and in and off in Paul Davis Park. The first year we had, Chief said we had 600 some odd people, so it was just under 1,000. And that's increased every year. So I think this is gonna be another very fun time and something that I think we should support. The reason we wanna bring it to you guys is because if you guys give us the thumbs up, we would be using, as we have the last 3 years, city resources with manpower and cars and vehicles and gas and our park to support this. So my the only thing I had back with their athletic department administrator, Kim Flanagan, was, hey, let's make sure this year that the speakers are good. So the first 2 years, nobody could hear anything. Last year was a little bit better, but not as good. And I recommended the person that we use, Eddie. Is that right, Stephen? Yeah, Eddie for 4th of July and our Christmas tree lighting every year. So, and because you got to be able to hear what everybody's saying out there. So the only other addition is it's not in September, it's in October. So homecoming is actually Friday, the October 11th. And the homecoming parade would be October 9th, Wednesday night. And I got to make sure I got those dates right. Nancy, did I get it right, Chief? Okay. So conflict with the city is that's a planning and zoning meeting night. If there wasn't anything very pressing for planning and zoning that night, we would look to maybe not have a meeting in October. If we do need to meet, then we need to meet, and we have a meeting here as well. So, but I will most likely be at the parade. So, you guys have any comments? Nancy, did you want a motion or a thumbs up on this one? Consensus? Okay. Can I get a thumbs up if everybody's in? Okay, go Wolves. All right. Jesse, you doing okay? Do we need, okay, cool. All right, thank you, council. Moving on to our budget stuff. So 9I, proposed fiscal year 2025 budgets for the city of Garden Ridge. Council, because we didn't know if we would have a supermajority on Monday night, as you know, we canceled our second workshop for this past Monday night and just combined everything to one meeting here for tonight to finish off our workshop. So 9I1, and discuss proposed fiscal year 2025 budgets, general fund, water company operation and maintenance fund, interest and sinking fund, capital improvements fund. So we went through all of this a week ago, Tuesday, and what we came out of that was a recommendation from Lisa for a further increase in certain positions with their salary, in addition to the 10% increase in salaries for every position for this next fiscal year, as well as Lisa proposed $10,000 in the general fund for Corey Consulting. So those are the two additions that we had from our meeting, our first workshop a week ago. And what we needed, you guys knew we needed time as a city to go through and do the hard math and hard calculations for those proposals and see what we could afford. The other thing that we did is based on your feedback, we went through and adjusted how much overlap we were going to have between Nancy and our new city manager, and we got that down to a month, including moving expenses if those are a factor. So, and then we got to remember that when we increase salaries, it's not just the salary that you increase, you also increase the amount of cost for benefits for those employees. So we've talked about that with the 15.74% increase in healthcare for everybody, and it basically equates to about another third of that salary on top of what we budget for, or what the salary says annually, the city has to put forward for benefits as well. So Robin has worked hard along with Nancy all week long, and I know many of you have been working with Robin and city staff as well. So with that, turn it over to Robin, Nancy. Robin, floor is yours. You've done extremely great work and hard work this whole budget season. So thank you. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much. We went back and we took the feedback that was received at the last meeting and kind of went back to see how the numbers could fit together, dug into the salary survey a little deeper, sorted the way that Jesse had recommended, looking at like the director level, then we are looking at our supervisors and our salaried positions, and then we have our hourly employees, and just trying to answer the question of what is our goal to be competitive in each of these positions, talking about where would we want to be. And I really feel like since the majority of our positions, when we're hiring, we're usually hiring those hourly positions. We really want to be strong and competitive with those hourly positions. So we kind of looked at, let's be within 100% of getting to the goal of the actual average and the average salary mid on those positions. And then, with our supervisor positions, our salaried positions, we want to, maybe we can try to get to 90% of the goal of being, to the actual and to the mid. And then the director level positions, considering the size of the cities we're comparing ourselves to, once you get to that level, there's some other outside factors besides pay for why somebody would want to work in a city like Garden Ridge. And I think with those director positions, our goal can be within 80% of the actual average and average salary mid. So when we kind of break it down a little further and look at option B on this, we can see where we fall to those goals. And then we can see how far short, like what we would need to get to those goals. With those being said, in option B, highlighted in yellow, is the proposal that I have there for each position, the wage adjustment that we could do for each position to get those to the goal. With some positions, there's a wide range. If you see there, some need a lot, some need a little to protect like morale, to protect like crazy range of variances. We can say we have a minimum, say we're going to do a minimum percentage of 10, a maximum percentage of 15, and then we start putting those positions into those ranges. So on the option B, I have 15% for several positions there. We were able to do 12% for our police officers, police admin, police sergeants. We have 15% on the library assistant. We have 15% on our assistant chief of police, 15% for our library director, and 15% for the city secretary. and then everybody gets a minimum of 10. I feel like this is, I mean, it's just it's an amazing to be able to offer that and to be able to say that the city can afford that. Option A, was just really based on Lisa's proposal of getting those 4 specific positions up to the ranges, which they do need. But again, with option B, we kind of are more equitable in our adjustments. So the city, I would think my proposal is that the city would pick option B for the wage adjustments for this year. And then, we already would have a framework for next year to look at now, where are we, in comparison to our goal, where do we need to be? And we kind of already have a layout for where we would step forward with that next year.
Thank you, Robin. So your recommendation that you've put together is option B
Yes, sir.
for the city, okay? A couple things to add, council, before we open it up for discussion. Regardless of which option, and even going back to the 10% overall for every position that we have in the city of Gardner Ridge, this is the largest salary increase that we've done in our history. So, and it's, that's a great thing to be able to give the positions in our city the salaries that hopefully make them competitive and retentive for the city of Gardner Ridge. And we've worked with the salary survey of different cities, of which we're about, we're in the lower half as far as size and budget goes to some of those cities. So we, when you come up with an average and a max, you got to caveat that with, hey, but we have a lot less budget and we're a smaller city than some of the cities that raise that mean and that average of those particular positions. So regardless of which option you choose or a variant of those options, I think it's commendable to the city that we are doing this for our employees' positions. So, and with that in mind, I want to reemphasize how important it is to keep the city neutral in this, that we refer to the places and not faces. These are salary adjustments for the positions that we have in the city of Gardner Ridge. They're not raises for individuals. So it is the position to make it more competitive and retentive. And it's really important that we do that. One of the first things that Councilman Brian Reyes said at the end of the meeting last week is we have to be very careful with this because the city of San Antonio gets sued and the police department gets sued when you talk people and faces rather than the places that they occupy, because then it looks like a raise for that individual and not a salary increase for that position. We have to be very, very careful with that. So we discussed that last week, and I would hope that we adhere to that as a city tonight. So what we're looking for is, what we'd like to be able to do is have a motion to file our budgets for fiscal '25 with the city secretary tonight. And if we do that, then we don't have to have a third work session. Go ahead, Robin.
So I just want to make sure that I do cover just the changes since our last meeting in the budget, in case anybody didn't get to flip through the couple other differences from the last meeting. Also in our water, just to make sure everybody's on the same page for our water budget, we.
Hey, Robin, let me finish what I was going to say so
Sorry.
council can
Sorry.
consider that as we go forward.
Okay.
No, I love it, but let me just finish that thought process. So it's what you want to do as a majority vote in, as far as the budget goes and filing with the city secretary tonight. It's Our recommendation is B, and then Robin, for as far as the salary increases go, the city's recommendation is B. And then Robin's going to cover some other things in there with how we adjusted the money flow and whatnot. When and if you choose to make a motion, you can make a motion with that option, and then if there's any other adjustments you want to make based on discussion, then you would state that in that motion. Nancy, got that correct, yes? Okay. Robin, thank you, and please continue.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to just highlight really quickly, because we did go through the budgets in the last session. I just wanted to highlight the few changes that have been made just since the last meeting, mainly in water. After Stephen reviewed the tank rehabs. He's decided that he'd rather do one in fiscal year 2025 and one in fiscal year 2026. So in capital expenditures of water, we've reduced that from $400,000 that was budgeted to $240,000, which reduces our total capital outlay to $1,107,000 for fiscal year 2025, which will bring our water fund to 7 months of reserves and $67,940 over adding that to the reserve. So that is the one thing I wanted to highlight with the water fund. Nothing has changed with our INS. Nothing has changed with our capital improvement budget. In the general fund, I think as Mayor said, we added the $10,000 query consulting fee. We brought down the expenses for credit card processing fees. We are sharing that now with our water. So the credit card processing fees that the general fund should have to pay should not be as much as they have been in the past. And then Chief asked me to adjust his PD range supplies to $3,000. So we did adjust those down. We adjusted a couple of revenue lines, state sales tax. We brought up to $505,000. It was at $500,000, so we added another $5,000 to that. I feel like we're safe in doing that. And our cable franchise revenue, I added $1,000 to that to be at $61,000 based on prior years. So those are the only additional changes from the last week presentation.
Thank you, Robin. Council, questions, comments? Kelly?
Great job, Robin.
Thank you.
Very thorough. I mean, I'm leaning towards option B, obviously, so that's really the only comment I have.
Lisa?
Awesome job, Robin. I've enjoyed working with Robin and talking to all the other department heads about this budget. And as a general comment, I think one of the things I've expressed to Robin, and I know Jesse has too, that maybe we do this a little bit differently next year, where we start the planning a little bit earlier and we have more input from council, so it doesn't feel like we've got a budget that we've got to kind of fix on the fly or adjust on the fly, that we can hash some of this out before it gets to our first public workshop, and get some more input from the department heads, while we're discussing as well. That's just a general comment. I do like the option B. I do. I think it's very equitable. I spoke with Robin about this as well. I said, can we, certainly, and she just said that some of these specific salaries that I pointed out do need to be raised. They are still quite a bit difference to goal. And she said maybe that's something that we could look at next budget amendment when we figure out a little bit more about city manager salary and those kinds of things. And she's planning on getting the budget amendment within about 6 months. She's hoping to get it done earlier. She said maybe even earlier than that.
Maybe.
The other thing is on a couple of these positions, I think the titles should be changed. And I don't know if you consider that a title or a title change or a promotion, but I'd like to get that on next month's agenda, if we can do that.
Do it, section 11.
I don't know what section 11 is.
Items for agenda items.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, I think Plan B or Option B is great.
Thanks, Lisa. Jesse?
Yes, I agree. Option B is the one I support also. It maintains a minimum of 10% that we discussed last time, so I don't want to go below 10 for the minimum. But the only thing else on the budget is the 10,000 that Lisa requested for the Corey consultant. I had mentioned back, I think earlier this year, that I really was against using taxpayer funds for Corey fighting, so I'm really questioning that, sorry. But anyway, I really don't think we should be using taxpayer money for that. I think the Vulcan Corey, wasn't that based on donations fight? So, you know, maybe I'll do something different for that, but my thoughts.
Thanks, Jesse. Todd?
And I'm at a bit of a disadvantage here, having not made these meetings. Option B seems to be the most equitable in my mind as far as the pay raises for the employees. I wish we had the budgetary availability to pay all of our employees more than the average. Not realistic, but I think fairly highly of all of our employees, so anyway. I've gone through this thing line by line. I've looked at it till I'm blurry in the face. And one of the things that I looked at it and I went, okay, where are we going with this Corey fight? That's where I wanted to look at Lisa and go, you know where I stand on the Corey fight. You're well aware of that. What are we doing with that money? Because we have to be able to tell people what we're doing with it if we're going to use taxpayer money. That's where I've got the hang up on it. And it's something that if we come up with a good idea, we do budget amendments all the time. Maybe, you know, down the road we figure out something that we can do. I hate to call it a fight with the quarry. How about let's call it negotiations with the quarry? We could potentially amend to do that, but without it earmarked on something, I don't know if we can answer the mail on, hey, what's that 10 grand for? I don't know if anybody's going to ask, but everything else is earmarked.
I answered that question at the meeting, and I put it there in case we needed to work with a consultant on
Yeah.
anything. In particular, there's one that I've been speaking with, Jill Shackelford, who helps various cities when they, in negotiations with quarries as well.
Okay.
And again, I'm going to tell you that this quarry, the quarry has the impact that this quarry expansion could have on this city is going to hit things across the board. Kelly and I will talk about some of the people we've met development-wise. And first one, both of them, what's happening with the quarry? What's going on over there with the quarry?
Right.
So I don't think it is a misuse of public funds to gather information and push back on something that has such a huge impact on the quality of life in Garden Ridge, you know, as well as the future of Garden Ridge.
Right, and it
You know,
does.
I mean, I'm telling you, if we don't get this under control, if we can't get the truck route under control, and it's in 2252 is flooded with the trucks, I'm telling you, development is going to be one of those things that's going to be
It's gonna be a whole
really
area.
tough. I mean, who wants to, I mean, again, we'll talk about the people that I'm talking with about development, and then maybe that will give you an idea, so.
Yeah, and like I said.
And
I'm
if
at
you
a-
ask the people.
I'm at a real disadvantage.
Right.
Not having been to these meetings. It was just something that, when I looked at it, I went, okay, what is it earmarked for?
Right. And I will say that if you ask the people, the quarry still remains the most important issue for people in Garden Ridge.
Yeah. Are we on solid legal ground trying to do this? That's the other part that crossed my mind, is we've got taxpayer money earmarked, or not earmarked. We don't know what we're gonna do with it yet.
Right, and apologies if I fight with the microphone here. But to the extent that that council, and this goes for any expenditure, to the extent that the council, when they budget it and when they go to use it, can find that public purpose for that expenditure, the council may designate and budget, as it sees, fit for health, safety, and welfare of the city, right? So we know that in the past, the city has had expenditures for quarry-related expenses, for, negotiation consultants, all sorts of things. So because of the impact that it has directly on the city, not only just the administrative things that you have to watch out for with, the permitting and the, complaints and handling and all of that, there's all the extra work that goes into, how is this impacting our roadways? How is this impacting, fill in the blank with all the other things that the quarry impacts, good, bad, or ugly, right? So to the extent that, there's, in my mind, a definitive public purpose when we use funds for quarry expenses, because again, it is for all of Garden Ridge, it's not for a particular,
Right.
for use to assist a private entity. In other words, this is all designated towards those things that directly impact Garden Ridge. Now, what those purposes are, that's, certainly up to the council to figure out that piece.
Okay, that helped. And I'm still trying to think of a way to do this that, to me, looks like it stays above board and it's not your money that's just earmarked to pick a fight with the quarry. Because legislative change is probably the biggest way we're gonna have to go at this thing. If we left that 10 grand in there, can we set it up as such that, sorry, Lisa, I'm gonna put you out here on the front, and I know I told you I'd help you with this stuff, that's why I'm kind of thinking of this, is you can't spend it until it comes up here. Is that how we work that? I mean,
Right, it's in the budget. I mean, I'm not currently spending it. Actually, it's one of the things that I did talk to Cynthia about. She said, yeah, well, sure, that's a good thing to have in the budget if something comes up and we need to address the quarry.
and we can always amend the budget as we need to.
Right, right. I mean, as she said, we use money for quarry things all the time, or we have, with expenses and things. So this is not, if we come to a point where we need to go negotiate with the quarry on some things, I think we absolutely need to talk to a consultant who's done that sort of stuff and could give us some advice.
And that's maybe where my brain is hung up on this, and I got too many things jumbled around inside my head. Are we better off then, and I'll look at Robin on this one, are we better off leaving this in there, or are we better off amending the budget 6 months down the road if we decide we need to hire somebody? And quite frankly, you give me the answer. What's easier for you, too? I mean,
I don't know that that's a question for our financer. I mean, that's a question for council and for Nancy and Cynthia.
yeah,
So-
true. No, that's fair. That's
So
fair.
I will add to your conversation that it is we typically amend the budget 6 months into the fiscal year, as we've done in the past. That there's no requirement that we do that. We can amend the budget quickly for other purposes. So an amendment for the budget could very well be, as we look and get more information on what Comal County Road Department is doing with Bat Cave Road and when they plan to repave that. And as we get estimates from Public Works talking to different companies to do it at the same time, our section of Bat Cave Road, that would be best budgeted for in a budget amendment.
Right.
In 3 months, or whenever Comal County and the city of Garden Ridge see if we can coordinate those schedules to do it together, obviously with Hank and Stephen and company. So budget amendment is a very easy thing to do, and we can do a budget amendment with funds that we have in the general fund, or we can pull from reserves to do that as necessary. So the issue that I have with $10,000 earmarked in this budget for Corey Consulting is that that's the one, every dollar that we have has a specific purpose to it. So whether it's paying a salary or paying benefits or, you know, tying into the Vista Ridge pipeline has a specific purpose. I think having a line item where we don't have a specific purpose, we have it there to see what's gonna happen. I think we can do that better with a budget amendment.
Well, I think, as Cynthia said, that this falls under public health and wellness.
That's your opinion, and we'll see what the whole council says about that.
Well,
but-
I am saying, according to our lawyer, we can argue that this is money put aside to support the public health and wellness of the city.
Okay, I have a different opinion.
Yeah,
So-
I know.
I don't think we should budget for it right now. If we have a specific purpose.
How is this, tell me this, how is this different than the 20,000 we have for marketing?
Because what is not before council yet is the proposal from Silvas Group for how Kate, would work with the city of Garden Ridge to solve all this, and that's well over the $20,000.
And right, and we haven't voted on that.
No.
And we haven't discussed that.
No, it'll eventually come, that'll come to you guys, eventually. So I'm assuming if you guys seen that proposal yet? Yeah, that's beyond the conversation, but, it's something that if we have a specific purpose where we need to have, I like how Todd said it, negotiate with the quarry with their expansion, then we could do a budget amendment for that. But I'm not in favor of putting it in the budget right now with no specific purpose. It's $10,000 that don't have a specific purpose.
I completely disagree with you, but.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah, and going back to my comments on that is, I think what Todd said is, because we always not only amended budgets, wait till that amended budget time period, but we also made budget changes in the middle, anytime during the year. We can also do a process if you want to change a budget item there. So I'd rather do it that way we have a way to go. And the other thing with Kate's report, she said we need to strengthen our, connection with the quarry. So we also got to be careful how we do both. So the other issue that, from the budget is the treehouse. I have some safety concerns of a treehouse on city property that could lead to some legal issues. So I'd rather.
And I think we discussed the treehouse before as an Eagle Scout project and said that there was a liability.
Is that right?
Well,
Todd's about to speak.
that's part of the discussion right now, but Stephen has something to add to that. Turns
Okay.
out it's in a floodplain.
Yeah, those trees that we were looking at for a proposed treehouse or structure, it falls in the floodway of Apple Run, and you can't build anything in that area. It's also within the 100-year floodplain, which there's exceptions, but once it's in the floodway, you just cannot build stuff in there from the FEMA, if you go to FEMA's webpage and.
He's got more on that. So what can we do with those stumps?
We can look at getting some we could carve those up into a sculpture. You've seen some around Garden Ridge and people's house, front yards and whatnot of eagles or owls, or we found one person that can actually carve a gnome house out of it with steps going up to it, just strictly artistic. I mean, they might even be able to do a wolf for all I know. They have a pretty good webpage of all the stuff they have, so. But we're looking into that and finding out what she charges and everything like that. Some won't do it because it's hardwood, but she said she would.
Thanks, Stephen. Continuing on with the discussion. You find where you're looking? Okay. If there's no other discussion, we already talked about if you guys want to make a motion with the different options and any further clarifications in the budget. Let me make sure that we do this right. Nancy, do we want one motion for each? We do want one motion for each budget to file with the city secretary, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we had heard from Robin, there were no differences in the capital improvements fund from last week, interest in sinking fund. There were differences in the general fund and the water company operation and maintenance fund. So when we make motions, be specific with the fund and say, as presented, if you have changes you want to put, like for the general fund with option A and B, or water company operation and maintenance fund, it sounds like you could probably just say as presented with that one. So Nancy, is that good? Yes. Okay. So council, any motions? In any order.
I'll start off with the water one. I make a motion to file the water company operation and maintenance fund with the city secretary as presented.
We have a motion to file the water company operation and maintenance fund with the city secretary as presented. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second. I think it was Lisa under the wire. Any further discussion? Call it to a
That was
vote.
Option A or B.
Which option?
Option A or B on the water as well. Because those salaries affect water
Okay.
fund
Got it.
as well as general fund.
Change my motion to include option B for the salaries.
So the motion is to file the water company operation and maintenance fund, specifically with option B, with the city secretary. And Lisa, does that meet your second?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? No. Water company operation and maintenance fund, option B, as presented to council, is filed with the city secretary. Can I get another motion?
I move to file the water company operations and maintenance fund with the city secretary.
So we just did that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just reading right in front of me. Sorry. We're doing interest in sinking, right? I move to file the interest in sinking fund with the city secretary as presented. Option B.
We have
We have to do option B on?
They're the same on both, but.
Those are the same on
Yes,
both?
they
Okay.
are in there twice.
We have a motion to file the interest in sinking fund as presented, option B, with the city secretary. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Todd, your turn. Capital improvements.
I move that we approve the capital improvements. This one also has option B. All of them do. As presented.
We have a motion to file with the city secretary the capital improvements fund with option B as presented. Do we have a second?
Second.
Kelly, is your microphone still working? Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. We have filed the capital improvements fund, option B, as presented with the city secretary. One more for the general fund.
I move to file the general fund with option B with the city secretary.
We have a motion to file the general fund as presented
As presented.
with option B with the city secretary. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve the general fund, option B, as presented with the city secretary, and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll call it to a vote. All in favor? Okay, that motion, any opposed? That motion passes. Okay, anything else we need, Nancy? All right, on to item number 10, updates, city council projects. 1, aggregate production operations impacting Garden Ridge. Lisa and Todd.
Going to discuss a whole lot with this one tonight. I'm still working with getting this EPA stuff. What I think I'm doing is going to work with a fellow who's a retired engineer who's done some windrows data sensor sighting with another organization.
Okay, thanks. Todd, anything to add?
No, I haven't been particularly available of late, so I'm at a bit of a loss.
All right, no worries. 10A2, mitigation of growth and encroachment impacts on Garden Ridge. Lisa, anything before I go?
No, did my usual search to see if there were any permits popping up around, and still in touch with Enchanted Bluff with Laddie. So nothing new to report.
Okay, what I have to add is worked with Hank, our new city engineer, with a revamped map of ETJ expansion, which goes basically from Wild Wind, including Lion Cave, out a mile to, which would encompass Enchanted Bluffs, Heimer Estates, out past Davenport High School, and goes up 3009. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I presented that map to Councilman Mark White, District 10 of San Antonio, who we've been working with that district for going on 2 years now. And he liked what he saw, and he said he would forward that to the rest of his staff, and to make sure that our attorneys are talking to their attorneys. So Cynthia, stand by for more on that to reinvigorate that process. So, all right, that's all I got on that one. Economic development, number 3. Kelly and Lisa.
So we're making some good progress with economic development. I'm really enjoying working with Kelly. We met last week I reached out cold, emailed Wes Peoples, who, well, let me back up a little bit. One of the things that I'm doing is just reaching out to developers, reaching out to developers of places that we like, that might work well in Garden Ridge, that might be a good fit here. So I reached out to Wes Peoples. He developed Town Creek and is developing Garden House Cottages at Solms Creek. So both of those are new brothels. He also develops in Austin. So Nancy, Kelly, and I went to meet with him at Town Creek, and we all really liked the look of Town Creek. It had mixed-use developments, restaurants, retail, lots of cute boutiques. The houses varied a lot, and the ones that he has built, have front porches. They all face a shared green space. They're really high-quality homes, but they're just a little bit smaller, and they're not on big lots. So we had a great meeting with him. I think we all just liked the man a lot. He was very genuine, asked lots of questions, was very engaging, and he is coming out here on August 16th. He's going to meet with a couple of landowners we're going to set him up with, and he also asked to meet, because we talked a lot about aging in place. And he asked to meet, and I said there was a need here for people who, as they get older, can't maintain these big houses, the big yards, all those things. So he wanted me to put together some citizens who could, speak to that with him, that could talk to him and say, hey, yeah, this is a real need for Garden Ridge. So, working on all of that. The other great conversation I had today, again, reached out to the Director of Development of Oxbow Development Corporation. They're the ones that did the Pearl. And I had just a wonderful conversation with Omar and ended up talking kind of philosophically about, what it is that we're looking for in Garden Ridge and what it is, what's our vision and sort of narrowing that down. He had some suggestions. He's hooking me up with another developer that he thought might work well with us. He offered to, give me advice anytime. He said he'd review anything we need reviewing. It was just great. They are, Oxbow is looking for their next thing. And they don't have that lined out quite yet. They have a new 10 acres across from the Pearl that they're working on and doing a little something in Southtown. And after that, they're not sure. And I'm not totally sure that we are the best fit for them because they focus on urban. Their vision is these urban and building, downtowns. But again, back to aging in place, I talked to him about that as well. And they are also looking at various active adult communities. So super positive. He's already, CC'd me on an email to the other developer, has pointed out, gave me the name of, a concept that he liked out in Pflugerville. He was just great. Super, super excited about that. So I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to continue to reach out to developers and say, hey, because I think one of the things that Kate said that I don't, several things I don't agree with. But she's looking for us to have revenue, right? And she wants us to look at our use charts and allow for the things that we don't want, that we don't want the fast food, car washes, all of those kinds of things. We could get those. We could fill 2252 up with that. So, I think what we're, We could. So I think what we're looking for is something more thoughtful. And I think that is where my conversation with Omar went back to vision and talking about, what it is we want. And what I'm kind of thinking in my head is that we're looking to create opportunities for people to connect through food and drink and activities and professional services. And so if we keep that at the forefront, that gives us a way to sort of, really hone in on what it is we want. If we say car wash, that doesn't fit under any of those. I wouldn't consider that a professional service. One of the things that Back to West Peoples, one of the things that he talked to us about too, which is something that we all want, was a grocery store and then medical care. Because he's got a lot of seniors in his project at Town Creek. And those are two things that they're very, very interested in. So I'm trying to be really careful about this, trying to look at, what would work here, because we're not Schertz, we're not Selma, we're not Seguin, we're not any of these. I think we're trying to be really deliberate about what we put here. So anything else on West from you, Kelly or Nancy?
No, just that he said, he mentioned, there's kind of a stigma with having the garden style homes, and I think he mentioned his base house was started at $750, so nice price range on those. So, and I was writing another point, and I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, again, to circle back a little bit on the quarry relationship, both of them asked me about the quarry. It's out there. They're concerned about it. If they come here and we've got, 10,000 trucks going down 2252, that is not, it's not going to be an appealing place to, for somebody to develop something on the high end side. I think we need to be really concerned.
Well, in all of our meetings we've had too, we've talked about anchors, having an anchor, something retail-wise to pull in enough people to support the other retail operations that to be included in a little, almost like a little township of its own area. So But yeah, those were great meetings. Thanks for setting it up with Wes. Wes was a genuinely nice guy. And genuinely seemed like he wants to help and he's genuinely interested, so.
Omar was equally as nice, so I hope y'all get to speak to him too. Oh, and the marketing stuff, you handled that.
Yeah, so when Lisa set up this awesome meeting with Wes Peoples, I thought, well, I kind of went into mad dash mode and thought, we do not have a marketing piece to show these potential, these prospective investors and so we threw together a little, pop it up there now, yeah. We threw together in about a day. Lisa pulled up all the information we needed. And so this is a rough draft, but at least we had something to take to our meeting. And I think that's something we needed. And obviously it's a work in progress, but we at least want to show you guys kind of what we had come up with. And I think down the line we want to add more, some touristy things that we have near us, right? So Natural Bridge, obviously, down the road. And like Lisa said one day, I don't think we've capitalized on that enough. And yeah, that's it. So hope you guys like what you see. And if you guys have any additions you'd like to see added to it, email them to me. And like I said, it's a work in progress, so.
And I've already done a rewrite of the brief history. I'm working on that. It still needs a little bit of work, but it hasn't transferred over here. The other thing, again, back to the tourism and economic development. I don't know how to put it all together, but in my head, I can see it all working together, and this being, an economic driver in this area. A unique place between San Antonio and New Braunfels. I mean, I can see it, right? I can also see, as we know, we go back to Dan Patrick, and that he submitted a letter to TCEQ saying that he requested that they pause permitting for cement batch plants. And a large part of that was a quarry as well. And he did that not because I think he cares much about APOs. He did that because of the semiconductor chip factory that is next to that quarry. And they accepted incentive funds from the state of Texas, and that factory said, we would not have moved here if we had known you were going to put a quarry in place, that you were going to put this in place. We would not have built here. This is a detriment to, we're bringing you all these jobs, but this impacts their quality of life, it impacts health, it impacts our roads, it impacts everything else. So part of my thinking too is developing an economic district is to be able to make that argument as well, to say, this is a small driver for this area. It's linked to a much bigger driver of, the caverns that has 440,000 visitors a year that go down 3009. So still just trying to kind of hash it out, all of the interconnections out in my head, so.
All right, thanks. Council, any questions for Lisa and Kelly? Great work.
Thank you.
Moving on to Council Liaison Water Company Utilities. Jesse.
Just preparing for the August Water Commission meeting to talk about water rate options with Robin. And I guess, I don't know if you're going to make it, but.
Thanks. Nothing else to add on that one. Todd?
I actually do have something to report today. I went up and attended the convocation for starting off the new school year for Comal ISD. If you have not been to one, it was actually, I'm going to use the term, it was pretty cool. So, yeah, I drove up there this morning. Where were you? Did you sit over? I was sitting there with Dave Krasinski and yeah, I sat up in that group. So, well, it's because I sat with the people I wanted to know. I know they were texting going, why isn't he sitting down here with the DVs? I'm like, because I'm not that important. It's not about me here. Anyway, I went and attended it. It was a truly a neat event. They talked about what they're trying to do in the future, all those kind of things. I did send Marissa a little video if she's got it, just so you guys get an idea of kind of what's going on. And before anybody goes, oh my God, how much money did they spend on that? It was all funded by an outside entity. It's no taxpayer dollar spent on this thing. So Randolph Brooks paid for all of this. 3,700 employees were there. So, and another interesting outtake from that, I forget the exact number, but it was 30,200 and some odd kids are in the district now.
Did he say 37?
So, what's that?
Didn't he say 37?
No, it's 30,000, I thought.
Oh, 30,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
It's a lot.
That's incredible growth. I think when I got here and got my kids in that district, they were down around 18,000. So they basically doubled while my kids were here, so. Good event. I think we need to keep up a continuing liaison with the district, both our school board member, Dave Krasinski, and with Dr. Chapman, just as things go on here. Because as you know, if you build it, they come, and we managed to build a couple of schools around here now, and people are coming. Goes along with our economic development. Those schools are a big part of it.
I got to go last year, and it was really good. My neighbor asked Linda this morning if I was going. I said no. I said, hope somebody else is. So thank you for going, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Todd. Great event. As far as grant writing and grant opportunities go, that was a request of Brian to put on there, and he's, when he gets back from vacation, he and I will discuss it. On to item number 11, discussion of future agenda items. Start at the far right. Kelly?
Well, we just need to add back on the reports, chamber, Tri-County Chamber.
Okay.
It's on 13 already.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's
It's on 13.
still there.
Is that it?
Oh, we'll put it back, we'll put it back there in item number 13. Lisa?
As I mentioned, some personnel title discussions. I guess for executive session.
So position title discussions.
Yeah.
Okay. Jesse?
No, at this time.
Todd? Okay. Moving on to 12, citizen comment period. 2 minutes. You don't have to have signed up to speak. Sharon? Floor is yours.
I enjoy coming to the Sharon Stripling, 21729 Forest Water Circle. Y'all are very informative, and I appreciate y'all being here, and I just wish all residents would listen or come and get involved. Part of the reason why I came, number one, the Tri-County video, somebody posted it on the website, was great. Y'all did a great job with that. I think that's really promotes Garden Ridge. I haven't seen much out there for promoting Garden Ridge. The homecoming parade, I'm all for it. Forest Waters loves it. The only negative feedback I got last year was all the candy that was thrown in areas where no one was sitting. So then someone had to go through and pick up all that because of the wildlife. So if y'all maybe could recommend to the people not to be throwing it where you don't have residents sitting. The trash stuff. I still keep getting neighbors, I'm the representative for Forest Waters, about they don't use the bulk dumpsters, but they pay a fee for it. Is there any other way on one day we could have trucks go through that do pick up something there? I think Ms. Silva's analysis was excellent. And I really think we ought to, it sort of shows us where we need to go, but you can see there's contradictions too with what we heard tonight, because like she's saying, I agree, I don't like all the trucks from the quarry, but you know, we got to find a happy medium. My kids play a lot of sports, my grandkids do. They have tons of land, and there are a lot of quarries that have sports complex built on their grounds where the quarries are. I think a sports complex would be a great use of the land, but it won't make them any money. So I don't know if they would go for that, but I think that's something that might add to the community too. So, and Wes Peoples is a good man.
Thanks, Sharon. Anybody else? All right, we'll close item number 12 and open up item number 13, reports and comments from mayor and city council members. Start on my left. Todd, anything to add?
Well, I brought up Kamal ISD, but I don't know if we've mentioned the fact that, and I forget now, I'm having a minor brain fart or something about where the girls' volleyball team was rated in the state. The football team is currently rated number 5 in the state. That's our little Davenport football team that's over there that went all the way to the state semifinals last year. So ties right into the homecoming parade and everything else. We got some good stuff going on here.
First football game is Friday, the 30th of August? Okay. Who we playing? Uvalde, isn't it? No. All right, Jesse.
Nothing to report.
Lisa. Kelly. Northeast Partnership luncheon tomorrow. Congressman Chip Roy is our guest speaker. Interesting to meet him and see what he has to say. I know some of you are signed up to go, so great. See you there. Back to, that closes out 13, unless Todd can tell us who we're playing. Veterans Memorial, 7 o'clock at Davenport High School, Friday the 30th. You might. Go Marcus. On to item number 14, executive session. The city council will recess its open meeting and reconvene in closed session. 14A pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.0711, pending or contemplated litigation, and 551.0712, consultation with city attorney on the following items. A1, notice of claim letter, Daniel Post. A2, petition of declaratory judgment, Eric Fisher versus City of Garden Ridge. A3, notice of claim letter pursuant to Texas Tort Claims Act, Craig Dillard versus City of Garden Ridge, cause number Charlie 2024-119 Echo. All right, we are reconvening out of executive session at 9:16. There were no business items to bring up back in regular session after executive session, so on to item number 16, adjournment. There being no further business, the city council special meeting is adjourned at 9:16 p.m. Good work, council, thanks.
Yeah, I did too. So it's.
Better than I thought.
I asked for.